What's going on, ladies and gents? Welcome back to another SLA video. Alright guys, real quick before we start the video, I just want to say a big shout out to everybody who joined the live stream. The 100K live stream was an absolute success. My wife was there taking over. We had a blast. I want to say thank you to everyone who was respectful, who came through and showed some love and support. And of course, for those who celebrated with me, we did some giveaways, we did some merch. We got announced brand new announcement for some solo leveling stuff coming, collaborating with me. Plus, we have ourselves some giveaways that we did as well. And of course, don't forget, we are now diamond in the support program. So if you're not supporting yet, guys, go click that support button. It's in every single description. Get yourself 6 codes if you have not already done so. If you have, those 6 codes now are yours, and you probably used them. So I want to say again, a huge thank you for the community. I love you guys. Thank you for being so awesome. And thank you for making my wife feel so comfortable on her first ever live stream. So hopefully we'll see a lot more of those between the two of us. It was an absolute blast. If you haven't checked it out, please go check it out. I promise you, you will die laughing at some of those moments. She plays some horror games, she plays some SLA, and one thing I can tell you now is I'm not a good front-up teacher when it comes down to teaching people about video games, because I get frustrated myself. Alright, so without further ado though, let's talk about actual SLA stuff right now. We have less than 5 days, guys, before the release of Goto Ryoji. I think maybe 5 days actually, around 5 days. And we of course have ourselves 3 live streams coming starting I think Tuesday, then Wednesday we have 2, and then of course the release of Goto is going to be on Thursday right after maintenance, which I'll be staying up all day to cover. Now I do want to say this, there are a lot of things that have just happened recently. If you go to your mailbox, if you haven't done so, you probably are missing out on some crazy rewards, but we did get ourselves SJW's Sun Jinwoo's birthday celebration rewards. If you hit level 90, this is what you're going to get. I covered this last video, but I want to cover it again because last one was kind of diluted with certain things. You're going to get yourself the 40 here of the Solidify Stones to get your legendary cores up. Some Aether here to actually level up the cores. You get yourself 3 random cores here, and I want to talk a little bit about those and which ones you should focus on. And then of course the weapons, 8 legendary sets here. So you get 2, 2, 2, and 2, so you get a full set of Curse, Blessing, or Greed, or Mix and Match, your call. Highly recommend getting 8 of 1. And then of course having another weapon here of your choice. And then lastly, the 2,000 Essence Stones with the 10 keys that which came in. So this is huge because it put my free-to-play to 33K. And of course I'm at 10 million gold as a free-to-play player. I do want to talk about this again. I'm a little bit disappointed, not gonna lie. I'm not complaining, don't get me wrong, this is great. These are amazing rewards to give for free, so thank you to the devs for doing that for the community, of course, especially with all the mayhem that's been going on with the banning and all the nonsense that was going on with WOBL and people investing in Light not really having a chance at it. I do commend them for giving us free loot, and of course getting the free 100 extra Essence Stones every day isn't a bad deal, to be quite honest with you, right? So not a bad way to start the week, but I do want to talk about which weapons to choose again, because I think a lot of you guys were focused on the 100K celebration and a lot of things that were jumbled up, and I think it's important to redo this. Now I do want to take a different angle on this because I think it's important, okay? So the 2 weapons that you would have got right here, they're right over here, Volume 1 weapons. It does not include the staff. I was hoping it did. I said it may include it, but it does not. So clearly we're going up to DKD again, and I do want to cover this a little more thoroughly because I know a lot of newer players are still confused on what to do. All right, so your number 1 choice, my opinion, your number 1 choice should be getting Plum Sword to A1 if you're a brand new player. If you have Plum Sword and if you have Moonshadow Daggers already, and they're both at A2, I would get both Plum Sword and Moonshadow Daggers to A3 a pop. Which one do you choose first? I think Plum Sword is still a little bit more important because you're still early on in the game, and this will give you guys Amplifying Draw, which essentially gives any time you have this buff, anything will get 32% extra crit hit damage for the next 5 seconds. So very important to remember that. So this here, right, this my opinion right here is the number 1 A3, and then you should move over to Moonshadow Daggers, which then again lets Shadow Step perform the Lunar Eclipse per instance of full moon. So very, very important as well too. This one is great because Lunar Eclipse increases the damage taken by the opponent for 15% with this buff, and then the target also takes more dark damage by 15% for the next 3 seconds. So this is a little bit more niche versus a little bit more universal, right, with the Plum Sword. So a lot of people have been asking, hey Payne, I've got A3, which one do I do? Which one do I push to A5 first? I will say this again, I will reiterate it because a lot of people missed it the first time. If you are trying to improve in Guild Boss, the Moonshadow Daggers are much better. I would even argue to say they're equalized in PODs, that's Power Destruction. And then this here, the Plum Sword at A5 pretty much is good for any content. Except for Guild Boss. Right now we haven't had a meta where this is required, but this is the ultimate buffing weapon in the game in my opinion. But Moonshadow Daggers does have a little bit more advantage in the Guild Boss section, okay? So those are 1 and 2. whatever you want to do in that regard, go for it. Now, if you by chance happen to have an A5 here and an A5 here, you might be questioning, hey, Payne, do I push them to A7 or A6 pop? Well, no, what I would do next actually is push over. Again, depending what you want to do, if you're looking for DPS and you're, let's say, stuck on Baron, I would start focusing on getting the Demon King daggers up. These are still probably the strongest weapon in the game at the moment as it stands. And plus, we're getting a brand new wind weapon that's supposed to be hybrid on the next patch on Wednesday. So you might see something complement this. So if you are not going to push your Plum Sword, if you're not going to push your Moonshadow daggers, not a bad option to just hold off on the rest of it and just wait to see if these new weapons, and if you plan to go for them, will complement the DK. But this is by far the best DPS weapon in the game, for sure, still in there, okay? Now, if you are still looking to improve your guild boss score, the next weapon in line that I would focus on is the Thesis Grimoire, or the Thasis. I always mess this up. Tinnitus. I'm just messing with you guys. The Grimoire. So this is the other weapon that's always been used for both guild bosses, Fakna and the Ant Queen. And we may see Beru have a similar kind of outcome. Okay, so this is going to be weapon number 4 to focus on. And the reason why this one's so important is because of this Deep Erosion skill, which A1 increases the elemental damage weakness taken by the opponent by 24% for 15 whole seconds. So very, very strong. Now, anything further than this really doesn't matter as much, only because it requires the opponent to be frozen to take more damage. If you're not freezing the opponent, it's kind of losing a lot of its appeal. So A1 is really a good option there. And then, of course, if you are using the fan, which is currently the main weapon that's out right now, then you want to push for the Phoenix Soul to A5. Believe it or not, I don't have the fan, but I may still want to push this to A5 only because I just want to finish it. But I mean, if I wasn't struggling, if I was struggling on endgame content, I wouldn't really be focusing on this, right? So this might be an option for me. And then, of course, if we did have an option and this was there, this would have been my number of focus, is Divine Quarterstaff. I regret not having it, but hey, it is what it is, and we learn from our mistakes, right? So that essentially is, in a nutshell, the best options in the game. Couple honorable mentions, and a lot of you guys have been asking, is DKL worth it? It's pretty good, but again, if you're going to focus on DKL and DKD, I would actually save both of those and just wait to see what the hybrid weapon, if it does come, when it does come out this week or next week, I guess. See what it complements more. And if one weapon becomes stronger than the other, then of course you can use both tickets to get either or old weapon, which I actually really do love, by the way. The fact that these older weapons are still considered the meta weapons in the game shows that, you know, Netmarble isn't always power creeping everything that comes out. So that's a very important one, of course. All right, so those are the weapons. Now, a couple more things that we got in this actual chest was the 3 legendary random artifacts, or cores, sorry, not artifacts, cores. In regards to cores, they're the old ones, okay? So they're the ones that come with Baron. Now, which ones should you focus on and who should get them? This is an important one, I think, because a lot of people don't know still how cores work. So first thing I want to note is that cores must have the same icon as does the unit that they're going towards, so whether it's SJW or a specific element, for them to receive this core passive, right? So, for example, this Ancient Wrath Obsession, if you get this is a great one for all attack units, all right? There's not many attack units that don't really require it, but this is by far still the best one for the top core. So when you get that, absolutely level it up and get it up, especially if it gives you the proper stats. The stats you're looking at most likely are going to be additional attack for hunters, attack percentage for SJW, and it's either going to be crit damage, crit rate, or damage increase. Defense pen, not so much anymore, okay? At least not yet. The other one here that might be a good option here is going to be the Nameless Demon Deception. Now, this one's great for Kanae specifically. And the reason why is whenever she uses her ultimate skill, it increases the critical hit damage of all of her basic skills by 20% for 8 seconds. And this is actually a really good one for Mireille as well because she casts her ultimate so often. But those two are going to benefit the most from this, especially Kanae, because her ultimate skill actually is her skill 2 as well as her ultimate. So she gets that pretty much unlimited time. So non-stop unlimited time. All right, so those are going to be probably your best options in regards to the top ones. Are there a couple decent other ones? Yeah, there are, but we're not getting them, so I'm not going to talk about them, and those are from the new Deimos raid, okay? So that's one. We got that out of the way? Good. Now, second one, the middle one. This one here is probably the best option. When the user uses their ultimate skill, it grants a shield equal to 10% of their HP. This is great because if somebody has the Guardian set and somebody like Kanae or Mireille casts their ultimate often enough, or even Thomas, they will get a shield that will proc off of that Guardian set. Another decent one, of course, is there's only 2 options realistically here. Is this one here, which does do some damage reduction, but it's nowhere near as good as the shield. So go for the shield, and that's the one I would level up. And then lastly over here, we got ourselves 2 other ones here, right? The other ones are all new, and that's going to be when the user uses basic attack hits, it increases their power gauge by 3%, or the other one is right here. When the users uses their ultimate, they recover MP up to 5%. Now, if you get this one, again, Mirai Kanae, all right? Those are the ones who are going to use that. If you're going to use anybody else that doesn't build up their gauge bar any differently, this is a really, really good option. But ultimately, at the end of the day, most people will want to go for this, and this is what you want to focus on in terms of cores. All right, now in regards to the actual gear that was provided to us, you guys can see here we've got 8 pieces total. I'm purposely going to be pushing for this, and it's going to give you 8 pieces right there of those. And then curse set is all I care about. I don't care about greed. I don't care about blessing, because I can get those anywhere else. They're super easy to get. This is what's going to matter most. And then, of course, choosing what you want. The first thing I would choose, of course, is going to be boots to get a good crit hit damage boots, or defense penetration boots, or defense if that's what you're looking for. And then from there, I would go hands and then helmet. So those are the 3 main ones I go for. The rest of them, it's a little tougher. It's a little tougher to get what you want, because there's so many different stats you can get here, right? But nonetheless, I think Curse is definitely the one to go with in terms of gear. So there you guys go. Hopefully this helps some of you guys make the right choices. If you have any comments or questions, let me know in the comment section. Again, love you guys. Thank you so much. I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.